This AutoTrader EchoPark Automotive 400 DFS Picks episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now. Use code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 on football. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code SGP. We're also brought to you by Gametime. Snag the tickets without the stress. Use promo code CFBX on your first purchase to save $20. Download the Gametime app and use promo code CFBX. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play the Underdog, pick 'em in college or NFL, and win up to 20 times in one game. Plus, every Sunday, they're giving away $100,000. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Finally, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month. Start making smarter bets today.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Winding down the week as we normally do, it is the DFS episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. This week, the stars at night or the star in the middle of the day is big, it's bright, whatever. We're in Texas. It's the Texas Motor Speedway, the AutoTrader EchoPark Automotive 400. Cody, it's the end of the week, brother. If you guys want good analogies and good puns, you picked the wrong day of the week to get them. But excited to be here to break down some DFS with you as always, man. Look, that may lag, but the research never does. So just stick around for the research because the puns, they slowly digress as the week goes on.
I love it. Yeah, we're getting into DFS a day early. It's not. You keep saying the end of the week, but we got one more day we got to push through, Rod. So don't. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but but that's okay. It is still the end of the week. We've got all the bets in, right? We got the F1 pod out there. Make sure you go check that out. All the bets have been placed. We're ready to go. Time for some DFS today. We got to talk some Underdog tomorrow. Make our picks for who advances to the next round. I'm excited about that. It's always a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm ready to go today. It was such a newsy weekend. Like there were so many things over the weekend that broke. And, after we recorded last, I think we did our Friday show on Thursday, and then Friday there was news, and then all weekend there was news. And then now this week, it's just been like super quiet. There's nothing to talk about.
And that's probably a good thing, right? I've heard along the lines that no news is good news, which means I think as things slow down, as we get close to game or the race time, I'm sure people are excited that there's nothing happening and that they can concentrate fully on the race. So, yes, of course, like I said, we are at the AutoTrader EchoPark Automotive 400 at the Texas Motor Speedway. Cody, I am not crazy too. Earlier this week, I did say it was the 500. Last year, it was 500 miles. This year, it is 400 miles. Everything that I've read and seen and everything that I remember, it's the 500 miles last year. This year, it's 400 miles. So it's not as long as the last race on this track. So I'm not crazy. I had to go back and I had to think and look at things because I was like, wait a second. It did say 500, but it is a 400 mile this week or this year. But last year was 500.
There you go. I had not realized that. So
yeah, see, I knew what I was talking about. I'm over here myself. I was like, what the hell, man? I couldn't be that like in the dark, can I? But yes, it was a 500 mile this is for, which means 334 laps.
Yeah, that's crazy.
around
I'm
this.
surprised
That they took 100 miles off.
I'm surprised that it was still 500 even last year. Like they've just cut so many of the races. Like 500 used to be standard length. Like they were almost all 500, and then a lot of them they've cut back to 400 over the years. So a little surprised that one was 500 last year.
It was. Well, everything's bigger in Texas. Might as well put the races bigger as well.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Now you're all normal size. Texas, live with that. No, I'm just kidding. All my friends in Texas. I live there. I know. I feel your pain. I get you. But yeah, 334 laps around this 1.5 mile paved track for 501 miles. So it's still this says 500 miles on this. I don't care. You guys suck. Yeah. But we will start breaking down our DFS picks like we always do. We'll give you our favorite high price driver, our favorite mid price driver, and our favorite low price driver as well. So we'll load that up. Cody, since there really is no news, I think it's a good time to get into our picks, shall we?
This might be the fastest we've ever jumped straight into the picks, but I like it.
I think some people may actually want it that way better. So if you like that better, I actually know. We have cultivated our audience over the years to appreciate the first 20 minutes of the episode before we start breaking stuff down. So
it's a good jibber jabber time for us usually. And there's usually a lot to talk about. We're pretty far into the week now. Not much left. So, all right, Rod, we're going to kick it off at the top of the board. I'm going all the way to the top of the board. I did this last week with Kyle Larson. He was starting last and finishing second, so he ended up being a pretty decent play, right? But going back to that, 11,200. Again, it's weird because he's not usually a guy that I'm on very much, but I was on him last week, obviously in DFS purposes, and I'm back on him this week. I think that he's so good. He's so fast at these types of tracks, right? And he's been so fast the last couple of weeks. He was one of the fastest cars last week. He was one of the better cars at Kansas. He was the best car at or maybe the second best car at Denny, I suppose, but won the race, right? And had a very fast car at the end of the day. And you look back, like what he's done for you recently on DFS. He's 11,200, by the way. They're paying up this week. It's although he was 11.5 last week, so I guess maybe you're not paying up. I don't understand how they figure that out, but 11.2 this week, 109.8 points last week. Obviously started 36, finished second. He's likely not going to start that far back, but you never know. He started 18th at Darlington as well. So 85.3 points the week before at Kansas, 89.3 at that Darlington race. Had a couple of stinkers before that, but that was Daytona and a road course. Again, you kind of toss those out. You go back to Michigan, he had 53 for you there. But he's had some pretty good performances. Looking at the intermediate tracks this year, finished fourth place at Kansas, led 99 laps that day, right? So that goes into that score of, this is 267 laps they're going to run. So go back to Darlington where he won that race. He led 55 that day. Go back and look at Nashville. He had a fifth place. Charlotte, he did end up getting wrecked out, but like you go back to the first Kansas race, he led 85 laps that day. You go back to Las Vegas, he led 63 laps that day. You want to go back to last year, right? Homestead at the end of the year, he led 199 there. Like he's been very good, and he's done it before here. October 2021, 2 years ago, 334 laps in that race, a 500 miler, of course. 256 laps he led in this race. So Kyle Larson is good here. He's fast here. Talked about it on the betting episode. This is the most important race of the playoffs other than Phoenix for everybody, but even more so for Kyle Larson because of these next tracks that are coming up, most specifically Talladega, which is important for everybody, but especially Kyle Larson. So I think this is going to be another Larson race. I think we're going to see him start close enough to the front. He's going to get to the front quickly and lead a lot of laps. And like I said in the betting episode, I fully expect this to be a Kyle Larson win.
Yeah, and I like I said on the betting show, I kind of agreed with you on that as well, because this just has all the makings of a Kyle Larson is going to nail this down and win this race, because that 5 team needs something like that to happen. It has been sort of a season that if they make it past into the next round, if they make it to the final 4, I suppose they'll kind of look back and go, this was not the most conventional way to do it, but at least we're here. So then the story starts, I think, this week as well. So I think you're right on that account. Definitely have some Kyle Larson heading into the DFS day. I'm going to turn my attention $10,200 for young Tyler Reddick in that 45 car. 2311 obviously has speed. We've seen it. We've seen it a lot. Bubba has speed. Tyler has speed. These guys are definitely fast. And for DFS purposes, very, very profitable players, especially when you get weeks like you did a couple of weeks ago at Kansas, where he actually won this race, scored you 59 points on $9,800 salary. That's pretty damn good for $9,800. You want something like that, or maybe the week before. How about where he started third, finished second, scored you 78 points on that, led 27 laps in the process. So Tyler Reddick has had some solid DFS days over the last couple of weeks. What has he done at this track in particular? Well, he's had 4 starts. 3 of those 4 have been inside of the top 10. 2 of those have been inside of the top 2, with, of course, last year a win here, leading 70 laps after starting 4th and finishing 1st. So, and then in 2020, when he actually didn't start toward the front, he started in 24th and wound up finishing 2nd, leading 5 laps. So you do the math on how good of a DFS day that was for him as well. What has he done at intermediate tracks? Well, he finished 1st in Kansas, like I said, 2nd at Darlington. It was a bad day at Nashville. He finished 30th, but 5th at Charlotte. Darlington, another not so good day, but 9th in Kansas the year before. 6th at Vegas, 1st at Texas in 2022, 3rd at Darlington, 6th at Charlotte. Very, very much possible for him to finish well in this race. I know he's not in the 8 anymore. He is in the 45, but we've still seen him pick it up and put it down in this 45 car. And I don't doubt that, he's going to have a good, solid DFS day. I wasn't on him too much in the betting part of it, but I definitely am on him for DFS. I think it's a solid addition to your DFS lineups. And at 10,200, I don't think you're investing that much into him, considering there's Truex that I'm a little iffy on this week, Byron that I'm iffy on as far as, I know he's going to get a top 5, but I don't know. Like, he's probably going to start in 4th or 5th and stay there. So that's not a very solid DFS day. But and then Hamlin, which we want to be on, but it feels like it's not a good week to be on him.
Oh, I do love some Hamlin. I think it's going to be the Larson and Hamlin show, but I think it's going to be more so the Larson show. That's why I went that way. But for Tyler Reddick, I love this play. Again, go back and listen to the betting episode for me this week, which has been a theme a lot lately, I suppose. But again, this week, Toyota, 2311 especially. Love this team this week. Their intermediate program has just been on fucking fire. Another thing, too, Denny Hamlin did the tire test earlier this season here at Texas. So anything that he learned in this race and that time, right? They do the tire test and they do the things that Goodyear wants them to do and the NASCAR wants them to do. They give them a little time to play for themselves as well. So any of that information that Denny took and is using for himself, he's going to be given to Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace as well. So I would expect those cars to be fast.
Agreed. Speaking of fast, it's how fast you can win money with DraftKings. We're back with another week of football. DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping us in on the NFL action with great offers every single game day. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Throw $5 down on any of this week's epic matchups to walk away an instant winner. And DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. Told you earlier this week about one of the lines that I'm super excited about, and that is Christian McCaffrey's alternate rushing yards. You can get them at 125. And I tell you right now, Christian McCaffrey will likely run for 225 in this game. It is Thursday by the time you're listening to this. But you can also find good lines like that. I mean, alternate rushing line plus 125. You are at 125. You're going to get this for actually 500. So you are going to want to jump at that plus 500 for his alternate rushing line. Man, that's such a good deal. You definitely want to jump on that. Find all kinds of other good deals like that on DraftKings Sportsbook as well. Football is more fun when you're in on the action, so download the app now. Sign up with code SGP. New customers can bet just $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, with code SGP. Crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. If you disdain buying tickets as much as I do, I have got the perfect solution for all of your ticket buying woes. It is called the Gametime app. If you're like me, sometimes you don't know if you can go to your favorite concert, your favorite comedy show, your favorite whatever it is you're trying to buy tickets for. Sometimes you don't know if you can make it there until the very last minute. And then you're stuck. You're stuck paying way too much for tickets. You're stuck buying tickets in places that you probably never thought you'd sit in front of a gigantic support beam that you can't see around. Guess what? You don't have to worry about that anymore. Gametime will not only make it easier for you to buy those last minute tickets, but they'll reward you for it by giving you all the best last minute deals and flash sales on these tickets last minute as well. And so you don't get stuck sitting in front of a big support beam, Gametime is going to send you a picture of exactly what your seat is going to see when you sit down in it and look upon that glorious stage that you will be enjoying whatever event is happening in front of you that day. So stop all of the stress. Start imagining yourself having fun at the places you're buying tickets for. Snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code CFBX for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Cody, let's also save our listeners some money in their DFS lineups by taking a step down to the lower tier of DraftKings prices.
Yeah, you talked about Tyler Reddick. I'm going to stick right there with his teammate, Bubba Wallace, 8,600. He's going to be my mid-tier driver. I love Bubba Wallace this weekend. Very, very big on him. Again, for all the same reasons. It's Toyotas are going to be fast. I know I like Kyle Larson to win. He's in a Chevy. But outside of that, the rest of the Toyotas are going to be very fast, right? Toyotas are going to be fast. 2311, we just talked about it. They've been good. Denny tested here. He's got that info to pass on to him. This Bubba in this 2311 team, they're riding the high of not only making the playoffs for the first time, made it past the first round, right? Past 4 Daytona 500 winners. Did you realize, Rod, it was 4 Daytona 500 champions all got eliminated the first round? Crazy. But two series champions were in that. And he's still alive, right? He's still going on. From Ryan over at iFantasy Race, Bubba Wallace at high speed, 1.5 miles this year. 4th place at Kansas, or 4th place at Las Vegas, 4th place at Kansas, 4th place at Charlotte. Moral of the story, if you can bet him to finish 4th, let's do that. But it's Kansas number 2 race a couple of weeks ago. He was 2nd place in stage 1 and was running 2nd place when he had that tire go down. So he had another fast car. I believe he was a tire victim here last year as well. Like, I don't remember exactly, but he has been freaking good at mile and a half this year, and he's been consistent. He's getting you good solid points most weeks. You go back and you look a couple of weeks ago, Darlington, he got you a 51. You go back to the Cookout 400, he got you 57 that day. He's got the ability to not only score you pretty good points week in and week out, but to hit that high ceiling. And we saw it last year at Kansas, where he led a ton of laps in that second race, scored you a bunch of points. So give me Bubba Wallace, 8,600.
Again, I Bubba Wallace, 2311. I cannot argue with you because I'm picking his teammate, and they've been fast. And Bubba's been on, as much as some people don't want to admit, he's actually been working his way toward a nice, solid finish on the season. So I think nothing would do that team more justice than to come into this week and run well to prove that they do belong in the conversation in the playoff drivers and not just a Ricky Stenhouse one-off and gone. So I like that as well. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and take Joey Logano as my lower price driver. He's 8,100. He's on the higher end of what I normally pick for a lower end driver, but I feel like he's going to give you a much better floor, I think, than most of these other guys that are in it. 27 starts for Joey Logano on the Texas Motor Speedway, 15 top 10s, 12 top 5s, 1 win. Last year, he finished second and led 15 laps. A couple of bad seasons. Well, last year 2021 was a bad year rather for him. He had engine problems, finished 30th, but he did start 5th, which means he had speed to burn. In 2020, in the fall race, he started 2nd, finished 10th. 2020, in the first race of the year, he started 9th, finished 3rd. 2019, 11th, 4th. Some solid DFS days for him. How solid? Last year, he was the 8th highest scoring driver on this track with 48 points. Like I said, started 2nd, finished 2nd, had 5 fastest laps and led 15 laps on way to a 48. And I'm not good at math, like you guys know, but 8 times something is 48, and that's a pretty good return on your thing there. So on your investment, go ahead, Cody, do the math for me. 8 times.
I was doing the GIF of all the numbers going around, trying to crunch it.
Solve for X out there, you mathematicians. But anyways, that's a good solid return on an $8,000 price tag this week if you were to get that as well. Again, this season, and Cody talked about it too, as far as Joey Logano is one of the hardest guys to handicap as far as betting is concerned. So, putting a top 5, putting a top 10 on him is a risk that sometimes a lot of people don't want to take it. But for DFS purposes, you could be a lot more lenient on stuff like that because you don't need him to necessarily finish 5th exactly. If he finishes 6th and he's led some laps along the way, if he's had some fast laps along the way, then you're better off and you're okay. You don't necessarily have to have that hard, solid, finish for him. And he's averaging 28.4 fantasy points per race. A couple weeks ago, I got you 45. 2 weeks before that, I got you 51 at the Coke 0400. So, again, he's capable of having solid DFS days all the way around. And I think you could take a chance on Joey Logano, especially at 8,100. And especially now, that he's no longer in this race anymore. So, or he's not in the playoffs anymore, rather. So now it doesn't really matter what they do. They're out to go to win this race. And that's what they want to do, or get a good solid run because their playoff hopes are gone.
I heard the explanation from Steve Letarte today that once you're eliminated from the playoffs, you're no longer the defending champion. Now he's only the reigning champion. Apparently that is the appropriate way to address that. I thought that was interesting. I'd never thought of it that way because once you're eliminated, you're no longer defending, right? You're just reigning. So interesting little tidbit on Joey. Again, he's the hardest guy in the whole garage to pick when he's going to have good weeks, but that's probably scares a lot of people off of rostering him, right? Because you don't know when it's going to come. If you're trying to shoot for a big GPP prize here or something, Logano could be that type of difference maker. We know he can show up, right? I mean, you go back to the Coke 600 and Ryan Blaney, very, very good in that race. He wins the race. We know Penske's got it in them, even though it's not always been out there this year, but it's possible for it to happen. A little bit more of a risk, obviously, but potential very high upside on him.
I will take that chance, especially in GPP, like you said, because you're going to have several different forms of a lineup, and Joey Logano should be in at least one, if not a couple of those, if you hope to differentiate yourself from a lot of the chalk that's out there. So, all right, let's tell you about Underdog Fantasy. They got a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. Of course, this week we're going to be going over our favorite Underdog Fantasy plays for the NASCAR slate. So keep in tune with that because there's plenty of drivers that we'll be talking about to go higher or lower than their projected finishing positions. So you want to do that. You can still win 20 times your money that way too. It's a fantasy game, but you can all win real money. Now they have $100,000 Sundays continuing on Underdog Fantasy. Total of $2 million in prizes all season long. $100,000 in prizes this week. $10,000 is going to go to 10 people this week alone. I've already seen pictures in our company chat. They delivered on that promise already. There were 10 people that woke up with $10,000 in their account. How lucky is that?
Damn, that's nice.
Listen, if that happened to me, I want it to happen to me, and I want it to happen to you. So let's have your name added on to that list so I can be cheering you on. There's a new sweepstakes every week in the NFL season. This week's higher or lower is Tyreek Hill receiving yards. They're setting it at 91.5. Cody's already telling you to hammer.
And now Jalen Waddle might not be playing. He's in concussion protocol. Tyreek is going to eat.
Yeah, this one should probably be set to 291.5. Maybe that's more realistic. Higher or lower. And listen, you don't have to be on the right side of this. You could be wrong and still have a chance to win the $10,000. So just pick it. Doesn't matter. Throw it in your parlay or in your higher or lower categories and play alongside. So watch along, make your picks, maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGP to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. We now take our step down into the value tier of this DFS slate to get you nice and set up for loading it up with some of these chalky guys that we're gonna load up with. So who is your value player? Oh Lord, his picture is making an appearance on the screen.
He's back again. Corey LaJoie, used him last week. Oh my God. What? Ugh, this was so frustrating, right? So I called him out last week as well. Super cheap, right? He was only 5,500. Starts in 10th place, right? Scares a lot of people off. Nope, don't care. Smashed him in every single lineup I had. Dude comes out and leads 48 laps, puts down 14 fastest laps. He got spun out and ended up finishing 25th, which was sad. He still scored you 20.3 points. But boy, what a big day he could have had if he'd have been able to not get caught up in that little incident there. But shit happens, oh well. But Corey LaJoie, 5,700. Again, nice solid day last week. They only upped him a little bit here. Only $200 more expensive. You go back and look through his races. Last week at Bristol, 20.3. Kansas, 22.5. Cookout Southern 500, 22.6. So you've seen a trend here, right? Daytona, obviously 65. He's good there. You go back to Michigan, a similar track to this. 44 points he scored you there. Started 31st, finished in 15th. He's got the ability to get you. You go back to Nashville, 39 points there. Gateway, he got you 30 points there. So he's got you the ability to get you some good, solid finishes. You go back and you look at intermediates, right? Kansas, 22nd. Darlington, 22nd. Nashville, 20th. Charlotte, he finished 17th. Darlington, he finished 24th. Kansas, he finished 20th. Las Vegas, he finished 20th. I mean, he is going to be 20th to 17th. I guess he had one really good one, but 17th to 24th. Like, he's going to be in that range, maybe a little bit better. We're seeing that team continue to kind of take a little bit of a step up. Again, when you look down here in this price range, it can be kind of iffy if you start at the bottom at 4,800 with McLeod and Dillon and Yaley. Not a ton of upside with those guys. Gilliland, keep in mind he's in that Rick Ware car this week, right? So he's a little scary. Zane Smith, I did give a hard look at. He's potentially a guy you could do. Harrison Burton, Austin Cindric. I think I shared it in the Discord. Ryan from My Fantasy Race had tweeted out. I don't think he's finished. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Austin Cindric's last 3 results at high speed 1.5 miles are 31st. Whew, he's bad. But Corey LaJoie has this just ability to be, you're going to get 20 points from him at least, and you've got the upside to get a 44 like a Michigan or something like that. So again, Corey LaJoie this week, 5,700.
Woof, 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 woof. All right, I will give you one that will also make you go woof, and that's Ryan Preece at driving the 41. He's averaging 26.4 fantasy points per race, which is only a couple of less than Joey Logano, who I gave you a little bit earlier. But Ryan Preece is at $6,000 versus what Joey Logano was at. And here's the thing, right? At 6,000 even, if he gives you 37 points like he did last week at Bristol, you'll be happy. If he gives you 35 like he did a couple of weeks before that at Kansas, you'll be happy. 23, you might even be happy too at the Cookout Southern 500. Or, the road courses, he gave you 39. He's able to get you somewhere in the vicinity of 26 to 27 to 30 at points, fantasy points when it's all said and done. So for me, that's where I'm kind of resting my head at. I can't even really count his last starts on this track because he didn't make a start in 2022 in the Cup Series on this track. And all of the ones that he was racing before, he was in the 37 car, right? The JTG Doherty cars before that, and then 47 and the 98. So he hasn't really made a start on this track in the 41 car yet. So, But you look back at kind of, like I said, what he's been doing, those fantasy points reflect semi-decent runs from Ryan Preece. Nothing to write home about, but in a DFS punt play, I'd take it over a lot of the other guys underneath. Last week at Bristol, like I said, he started 17th, finished 12th. Kansas, 28th, 18. Darlington, 34th, finished 28th, right? Crashed out of Daytona, but that's a super speedway. I won't even count both road courses, even though Watkins Glen, he started 30th and finished 17th. That's fine. Michigan, 28th, finished 22nd. Richmond, 11th, finished 5th. Go back to even Nashville, where he started 25th, finished 16th, right? Gateway, 29th, 17th. Charlotte, 22nd, 13th. Darlington, 32nd, 15th. These are good DFS days. It's a decent enough investment to make in a punt situation for Ryan Preece to expect him to be somewhere in that top 25 to just outside the top 25 range. And they don't qualify well, as you can tell if I read off a lot of these low numbers for qualification, which means you get place differential points. So again, Cody read off some of these guys that are down below that line, and it's not necessarily all that sexy, not in on a BJ McLeod. I'm not in on Harrison Burton. I know Ty Dillon had a pretty good run here last year. He got 43 points last year here. Actually started 32nd, finished 16th. But I don't expect that out of him this year. So the lowest I feel like I can go is Ryan Preece at 6,000.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of like if you can make your bottom tier guys, the Corey LaJoys, the Ryan Preeces, and not dip down into that BJ McLeod well. Again, it's got its times. It pays off here and there, but it's unreliable. You can stick with these guys and you build your lineup up from there. I think that's a really good way to go about it. And Preece is another one at the cheap price he's at. I mean, he's only $300 more than Corey LaJoy in a Spire car. Like I know SHR is slow in general, but he's had some pretty decent results as far as the intermediates go. And for the price he's at, I think it's right. And again, guy that's racing for a job next year at this point. We don't know if he's coming back. We don't know if Stewart Haas will even still own that car. I mean, there's a lot of questions, right? So he needs to impress. So yeah, I think that Ryan Preece is actually a pretty good call this week because that's freaking cheap for a Stewart Haas car, despite what Stewart Haas has been this year. I get it, but still his numbers are good enough. So yeah, I think that's a good call.
Yep. And like I said, don't go heavy. Don't have every one of your lineups have some sort of Ryan Preece exposure. Mix or match. don't put all your eggs in the Ryan Preece basket. Just toss him out there in a couple of GPPs and then call yourself good. I don't even think he's a really solid cash play build. I just think he's a good GPP guy. So
yeah.
All right, get out your pen and paper. We've reached the end. I mean, this is
nice and quick.
Yeah, I love it. Get you in, get you out, get you filling out.
And
this.
We get to kind of spread it out, right? Usually we do DFS and Underdog together. Since we got that extra day, no Truck Series this week. Get some extra time to focus on the Underdog picks tomorrow, along with the other stuff. So I think it's a nice balance.
I think it is too. So get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over these picks for you. Cody started you out with his high price driver as Kyle Larson at 11,200. I gave you the red dog at $10,200. That's Tyler Reddick for those of you not paying attention. Cody, I did not get a chance to fill out the doc. So Cody was doing it.
I was just filling it out as we went.
Yeah.
Glad I didn't talk shit about your cheap pick since I wasn't sure who it was going to be. I'm like, wonder who Rod's got down here, but oh well.
It's fine. I knew where I was going. I just didn't get a chance to write it down. So thank God for you, Cody. Cody gave you Bubba Wallace as the second tier driver at 8,600. I gave you Joey Logano at $8,100. Cody gave you Corey LaJoy at 5,700 as his bargain bin driver. I gave you Ryan Preece at $6,000 to round out our DFS card. Cody, if you fit all of them in, how much are you looking at?
We're damn good at this. $200 extra you got. So
Ooh.
we squeezed it in just perfectly.
Nice. Look at that. So you can use all these guys in a lineup if you want, just to trot it out there and see how it goes. Of course, always mix match, build your own, build several, have some fun with it. Cody always does. And then use one of those to enter the contest when it comes up, because we're still doing that.
Yeah. If you want a $5 contest every week over in the Discord channel, it's getting a little more popular. We're getting some more people in there. Everybody's scared off of the Xfinity and Trucks one, I think, because it doesn't get entered as much, but that's okay. The Cup one is there. It's a lot of fun, and let's do it. I'm excited.
Let's do it. I'm excited as well. All right. Well, then we will send you off on your evening to fill out your DFS cards and your DFS slips to have some fun. So we'll be back with the Underdog picks tomorrow. So yeah, until then, everybody have some fun. Cody, where they can
maybe cook up a parlay or two too. So come back for that.
Yeah, come back for the parlay. Come back as we cook up parlays. I'm gonna have my hot plate behind me, and I will be cooking up some parlays. So
as long as you don't cook like Russell Wilson, we're fine.
Oh my God, dude. All right, that's a conversation for another show. Yeah. Cody, let everybody know where you can find all those conversations on your social media.
Yeah, follow me over on X. You can find all my work there at Husker_Zeeb. Rod just confirmed tonight I am going to be on the big main show, Sports Gambling Podcast, the DFS show for the week, giving out my Millie Maker lineup. So if you want to win $1 million or split $1 million, because I'll be entering it obviously, so you can split with me. But if you want to split $1 million, check that out. We'll be live after the Thursday night game. I think it's roughly around 8:45 Pacific time. So yeah, check that out. And if you're listening after, just go back and check out the DFS show. I'll be on there. It'll be a lot of fun.
Let's go. Cody making waves over there on the big show. I don't get asked on the big show.
I've heard you on the big show before, Rod. Jeez.
Anyways, yes. Follow me on X at RJ Villagomez, where you will not see an invite to the big show. But you'll also find all my other work where I'm out there, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review, throwing out my parlays there for NFL, in between media, for frequency's sake, kicking out some fast money. Look at all of it there in my profile on X. Back tomorrow with Underdog picks. Until then, everybody, enjoy your evening. Let's go racing and let it ride.